It's not the medal you come to win, but the prospect is going home empty-handed if you lose today. Bronze medal games can be very hard to play. The United States has won 2 bronze medals in the last 3 years. And for the Russians, who had such high hopes entering this World Championship and got some additional players halfway through it, the best they can hope for is 3rd place on home ice.
Last year, the United States earned a bronze in the Czech Republic, beating the host country in the bronze game. Can they do it again? Back-to-back years.
Kuznetsov, Ovechkin, and Lyubimov starting for the Russians, who got off to a great start yesterday in their semifinal game against the Finns. They had the first 6 shots in the game, and looked like they might blow the doors off the Finns, who finally stabilized things and came back to win it 3-1. Now Frank Petrano in behind the goal for Team USA. Leaves it there for Hudson Fasching, and Fasching trying to pick it out. Jake McCabe holds the line for Team USA, plays it back to Brock Nelson, wrists it down, tipped on goal by McCabe, kicked away by Sergei Bobrovsky. Nelson has it back at the point again, winds and shoots, it gets through, Bobrovsky makes a pad save.
Really good first shift, Petrano and Hudson Fasching and Brock Nelson.
On the near boards, moved back by Brock Nelson, and Noah Hannafin picks it up. Hannafin, just 19 years of age, leads the U.S. at 20.5 minutes played per game. A very young American team. Their top 2 scorers are teenagers, 18-year-old Austin Matthews, 19-year-old Dylan Larkin, as you mentioned. And Pavel Datsyuk plays it around. And a Shaibu chant goes up. This building went from a deafening roar to stunned silence in about 35 minutes yesterday.
A 1-0 lead turned into 3 finished goals in the second period, and as much as the Russians pressed in the third period, they really had a sense that there was no break in the Finns. The power play was helpless yesterday, 0 for 5, just 5 shots on goal, and there wasn't much to cheer about in the last half of the game.
Almost looked like the Russians were skating uphill for the third period as the Finns just clamped it down. Brought in now by Tyler Mott. Mott was part of the story of the Americans' semi-final loss to Canada as they scored 3 in the second period. JT Compher flips it wide. Mott gave the U.S. the 3-2 lead in the second period. That's flipped wide by Dylan Larkin. Warsawski shoots, it's caught by Bobrovsky. And Bobrovsky wants to work with the official right away after stopping that puck.
And he caught the puck and turned to the official. The second that thing was nested in his glove. There are the head coaches, Oleg Zarnok, who had a very frustrating afternoon yesterday, and John Hines, who had the game in his hands. The Americans led late in the second period with a 3-goal outburst in the middle frame, and they just couldn't find the equalizer. I thought the U.S. played as good a game as they could have yesterday. They were terrific for the most part.
Chipped out there by Sergei Plotnikov. He finds Kalinin. And then comes Sergei Kalinin for it. Plotnikov did not get a shift for the Russians in the game yesterday. And the bench got really short in the third period. Long shot kicked away by Kincaid, and standing in front there was Sergei Shirokov. Shirokov goes off. He scored the opening goal for the Russians against the Finns. Didn't get a shift in the third period.
He got hit with that shot, so he limped his way to the bench.
That was centering pass. Patrick Maroon in. Bobrovsky down. Maroon drops it back. McCabe can't get a shot away. And held at the line by Miles Wood. A sharp angle shot taken by Maroon. Rebound. Wood comes in. That was blocked. Now McCabe comes in. Good pressure by Team USA. Jake McCabe swings it back. Connor Murphy across he goes. And Wood plays it in deep, finding Maroon as the U.S. changes. Maroon.
They're on this team already.
Shields off Marchenko. That whistle, the equivalent of boo, and now a backhand shot taken there by Matt Hendricks. He was knocked down, and Ovechkin has it back for the Russian. Alexander Ovechkin works it on Murphy, trying to go through his legs, and Murphy stayed with him. Lyubimov plays that to the corner. And Slava Voinov drops it back to Ovechkin. A long shot, kicked away by Kincaid. Hudson Fasching taken down. Lyubimov trying to hold the line. It comes free to him. Maybe Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov, Dmytry Orlov, and Ovechkin joined Team Russia after the Capitals were knocked out by Pittsburgh in the playoffs. And a lead pass goes to Brock Nelson jumping in. Nelson tries to split the Russian D, and Bobrovsky plays it away. Moved ahead by Alexei Yemelin. It's Sergei Mozyakin, who's the scoring leader in the KHL this season. This is the last game of the year for these players. Mozyakin's got some unfinished business. The championship celebration for Magnitogorsk, which won the KHL championship this year. Now a chance of centering pass, bounces down. Talaga pulls it back on the feet from Mozyakin. Couldn't get a shot away. And we saw that time and again in the game against Finland where the Russians would have good position and not get a shot. Nelson feeds it across, takes the return pass that skipped away from him. As Jordan Schrader puts that pass back in front.
Ivan Taligin is in the Russian lineup. Remember in the last couple of minutes against the Finns, he got slashed in the leg by Otava, the Finnish defenseman, and was literally crawling off the ice. He couldn't get there. They wasted 30 seconds of a power play as he was on his hands and knees in the slot.
Schrader a long shot, kicked up by Bobrovsky. And Dodonov moves it ahead. And that pass missed, and icing called against the Russians with 14:49 to go in the first.
There's Ivan Taligin, he's in front of the net, and he's gonna try and spin this puck to his forehand, but it sails off his stick. He was Russia's best forward in the first 2/3 of that game yesterday. A draft pick of the Atlanta Thrashers, now the Winnipeg Jets in 2010. There's some talk after an excellent tournament that the Jets, who still own their rights, will talk to Taligin about coming to North America again.
Play for CSKA here in Moscow. And now as Marchenko touches up. That play called in the Russian zone.
Well, we all know that Patrick Laine can shoot the puck. I think we've seen through this tournament that Austin Matthews can shoot it too. An absolute rocket yesterday on the power play. Scored a couple of goals with that really smooth release wrist shot. Had an excellent tournament.
The presumptive #1 overall pick in the upcoming National Hockey League draft has done nothing at all to change opinions on that. In fact, if anything, he's solidified that spot. Now Dodonov works in. The centering pass is broken up by Warsawski. Dodonov plays it the back in the corner. This is the top scoring line for the Russians. Nikita Zaitsev a long wrist shot that floats over the glass and out of play.
Nikita Zaitsev will head to Toronto, signed a 1-year contract in the first part of May to head to Toronto. He's 24, played 3 years here in Moscow, and a right-handed shot, they feel a little bit of a finished product, not such a young product that you have to try and figure out what he's going to be. Now we'll see how he adjusts to the North American game.
And for the face-off is Shirokov. That pass, that puck rather picked up by Mott, who flips it back down to the Russian zone. Yemelin on it. Alexei Yemelin to Sergei Kalinin of the New Jersey Devils. Tries to play that across. It's picked off by Brady Shea. Kalinin holds the line and plays it back around. Now a centering pass. It finds Plotnikov. And Plotnikov back to Shirokov. To Plotnikov. Got bumped there for a moment. Lost it. And now Plotnikov knocked down by Larkin. Plotnikov for Shirokov. Back to Kalinin. Kalinin to the line. A hard shot by Borlov. Scores! Tipped in front by Shirokov, and the Russians have the lead.
After the United States had controlled much of the first 6.5 minutes or so, the Russians finally get the puck and control it in the zone. Kalinin and Plotnikov do great work in the corner to cycle the puck. This is going to go back to Slava Voyanov, who one-times this shot, and it goes right through Keith Kincaid. I think this is going to be Voyanov's goal. But as they did yesterday, Russia on the board first, this time on Voyanov's first goal of the tournament.
A two-time Stanley Cup winner with the Los Angeles Kings. Returned to Russia after his legal issues in the United States. He was essentially about to be deported There is talk that Voinov wants to return to North America. A lot of work to be done on that front. Ovechkin winds his way in. Got poke check there by Connor Murphy. So the Russians again have the lead. Their 7-game winning streak was snapped in that loss to Finland yesterday. They have lots of chances late in the first period, even early second, until the Finns got on the board, Ray, and then they really couldn't get through after that.
I felt as much as they had trouble scoring or getting into the offensive zone, their special teams again let them down. They gave up 2 power play goals. They've got the 12th rated penalty killing in this tournament. And they didn't score in their 5 chances.
That's it, sets it up. That's hammered high and wide by Chudinov. In the corner is Telegan. Gets the pass there by Mosiak, and back at the point it goes. Belov winds and shoots, and that was blocked by Jordan Schrader. Schrader trying to knock it out. And the puck loose in the corner again for Telegan. Mosiakin tied up. Sergei Mosiakin, the 35-year-old. Finds Telegan. Telegan back at the point, but the pass brought Chudinov out. And Chudinov, once upon a time a pick of the Vancouver Canucks, slides it ahead. Or the Boston Bruins, rather, slides it ahead. Artemi Panarin banks it across. Looking for Shipachyov. Broken up by Matthews and played out. Hard game to play, Ray.
If you get down in this game, your spirit gets crushed early. You start thinking about the offseason here. You've got 1 game left this year. This is it.
Wood chips it up to center ice to Maroon. And Maroon had a good scoring chance a moment ago. Tried to shovel that ahead. Panarin broke it up. Now brought in by Matt Hendricks. In comes Hendricks, drops it back to Wood, leaves it there, and it's poked away by Marchenko. In comes Shipachyov, in, shoots, it dribbles down, kicked away by Kincaid. Hendricks back on it. One hands up to the line and out. And we got a penalty coming. It's a high sticking call against the Russians. Shipachyov will go off, and the United States will go to the power play when we come back. Gold medal, Ray Ferraro, the bronze medal game at the 2016 Worlds. Still to come tonight, the gold medal game between Canada and Finland, much talked about for the last 24 hours.
The Russian penalty killing, which has not been very good. 12th in the tournament, giving up 7 power play goals. Will try to defend their 1-0 lead against the U.S. power play. It has been pretty good. They've scored twice against Canada in the 2 games. 9 power play goals in the tournament.
Austin Matthews has 3 of those power play goals, including one against Canada yesterday. Nick Foligno knocks it down. At the point is Weidman. Across to Matthews. Austin Matthews, a long shot, trying to find the stick of Dylan Larkin. That's broken up. And Marchenko plays it around. Matthews can't hold it. Racing to it is Lyubimov. Couldn't quite get there as Weidman played it ahead. Foligno drops it back for Larkin. Into the corner for Matthews. Back for Foligno, a sharp angle shot, goes off a leg and bounces back outside. And as they're doing that, a crease violation being called against the U.S. And the faceoff will come outside.
Providing Shipachyov, he's going to get the high sticking penalty here on Chris Weidman. Right there as his stick rakes Weidman just under the nose.
Oleg Zarnov, by the way, will be the coach of the Russian team in the World Cup. The head of the Russian Ice Hockey Federation, Vladislav Tretiak, made the announcement today that there will be no change in coach. Zarnov coached Russia to a gold medal in the 2014 World Championship, was not the head coach last year. Larkin swings back, a minute 15 seconds to go in this power play. Austin Matthews has it back. Matthews works it back at the point to Weidman. Down to Matthews. Austin Matthews centers it. Schrader knocks it back. And the pass gloved down by Belloff. Larkin gets it back to Matthews. He finds Weidman. Matthews shovels it across. The pass picked up. Plotnikov has it back. Chance for a 2-on-1 with Kalinin short-handed. Kalinin in for Plotnikov. The pass just out of his reach. And Plotnikov back on it. Weidman to Foligno. Plotnikov began the year with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Moved to Arizona early on when things didn't work out with the Penguins.
Had a very good World Tournament last year. Just had a difficult time adjusting to the North American pace and speed, which is always a question mark for these players when they've never really played in North America before. Can they get up to speed? And Plotnikov just wasn't able to do it in either Pittsburgh or Arizona.
Played 45 NHL games, didn't score a goal. Long shot taken there by Warsawski, and Bobrovsky had to be careful with that. Now Warsawski again, that's chipped away by Orlov. Kyle Connor back in the U.S. lineup, plays out in the corner. Chipachov is back out. Centering pass for Nelson, kicked it wide. Rebound, moved on goal by Connor. And Sergei Bobrovsky has it. One shot on goal for the U.S. on that power play.
It's Kyle Connor's first shift of the game here. He's had some injury troubles throughout the tournament. He hadn't played either of the two previous games, but sets up a scoring chance. And the Russians have a 2-on-1. Plotnikov and Kalinin. His backhand pass has a little bit too much on it, and it goes by in the air. Plotnikov tries to bunt it out of the air, but a good defensive play started by Plotnikov turned into a scoring chance.
Yeah, Nick Foligno hustling back too to try to disrupt that pass. Compher wins the face-off back, trying to find Connor. So this is a line that began the tournament for Team USA. The three Michigan Wolverines together: Compher, Mott, and Connor.
They ripped it up at Michigan this year.
Dodonov brings it back on the goal line with it. There's getting Dodonov at the point for Belloff. Plays it right around. Racing to it now is Chudinov. Drops it back for Dodonov. It's picked out though, and Connor breaks away along with Mott. Kyle Connor busting in. Has room, sends it back in front. Mott couldn't reach it. Chipachov chips it there, and Dodonov couldn't reach it. Panarin moves out ahead. Artemi Panarin led all rookies in goals and points for Chicago this year. And Kuznetsov had that knocked away. Alexei Yemelin waits. Has a look and slides it back. Panarin, though, was going off. Now brought back the other way by J.T. Compher. Yemelin swings back. 8 to go here in the opening period. The Russians with a 1-0 lead. Voinov, rink wide pass to Ovechkin. Ovechkin gives Brady Shea a bump. Puck loose behind the goal. Matt Hendricks stepped on it. And Kuznetsov moves it back. Voinov a long shot. That was blocked by Hendricks. And played ahead for Miles Wood. Wood loose behind the goal. Centers it. And Hudson Fasching couldn't quite reach it. Kuznetsov has it back now. Lifts it off the glass and up to center ice. Lyubimov racing in, but Hendricks comes back on him. Picked up by Hanifin. Noah Hanifin tried to swing that rink wide. The pass too far for Shea. Orlov goes back. Moving up is Shea to keep it alive. The puck bounced in the air. No one could find it. It was in the feet of Orlov. There's Pavel Datsyuk back with it. Ovechkin. Rink wide pass to Orlov. Orlov with his legs. The backhand shot. Kincaid to save. The puck loose in the corner now. Picked up by Telegan. And Nelson steps into him.
Going to be a hooking penalty to Steven Santini.
Now Telegan wraparound try. Kincaid makes the stop. And the Russians are going to the power play with a 1-0 lead when we come back to Moscow. Back here in Moscow, the Russians celebrating a 1-0 lead over Team USA. Will now go to the power play as Steve Santini goes on for hooking.
The Russian power play, which hasn't been much better than their penalty killing, they're ranked 10th in the tournament. With all this firepower, just 8 power play goals and 41 cracks at it.
And 5 chances against the Finns, and on 3 of those power plays held without a shot.
Sometimes the Russian way is to pass till you get the perfect shot. But they had trouble even getting set up on a couple of those power plays. Here's the hooking penalty. Santini in the middle of the ice is going to get called for the hook right here on Telegan. So the Russian shooters here are Mozyakin, 10, and 81 Orlov. You'd suspect that they want the puck on this right side with Kuznetsov and Datsuk.
To borrow the old expression, Ray, it looked yesterday like it was trying to pass the puck into the net.
So many missed opportunities to shoot.
In comes Mozyakin with it now. Mozyakin trying to center it, knocked away from Kuznetsov by McCabe. Here's Orlov back to Datsuk. Telegan standing in front. Datsuk drops it back to Orlov. He falls. JT Comfer was almost away. Datsuk plays it across. Here comes Mozyakin. A shot, scores! Mozyakin, a power play goal. 2-0 Russia.
Well, they certainly didn't have that yesterday. Mozyakin, at 35 years old, who led the KHL in scoring with 67 points. His 5th goal of the tournament takes the Datsuk feed. Connor Murphy gets out to block this, but he powders it up on the short side over Keith Kincaid's shoulder. Yesterday it was a 1-0 lead and an inept power play that did them in. Now it's a 2-0 lead as their power play strikes. Sergei Mozyakin, who plays in Magnitogorsk, as you mentioned earlier, Gord, has their celebration parade in the middle of next week. He celebrates his 5th of the tournament.
Mike Polino, a longtime assistant coach to Mike Keenan, both in North America and in Russia, still in Magnitogorsk, said that Mozyakin's game is perfect on the big ice here in Russia. Now a centering pass, and Dodonov couldn't quite knock it down. Mozyakin was drafted in the 9th round by Columbus back in 2002, spent a year in the Quebec League. But he has been a dynamo in the KHL, a 4-time KHL scoring champion. Larkin plays it down to Fasching, tied up there by Yemelin. Fasching tries to center it, and Shipajob breaks it up for Dodonov. Up for Panarin. This line combined for 15 goals for the Russians leading up to yesterday, but largely held in check by the Finns.
Didn't really notice them at all yesterday.
Larkin winds his way in. The Americans are changing, and Chudinov has it there for Plotnikov. Banks it up for Shirokov, who's back out for the Russians. And Shea collides there with Kalinin. Brady Shea tied up. Shirokov in the corner for Plotnikov, tied up by Matthews. And Kalinin drops it down to Shirokov. Spins and shoots. Kincaid save. Rebound loose in front of backhand shot by Plotnikov. Kincaid's got it. Plotnikov goes diving at the American goaltender, but couldn't get a stick on it. Now a scrum breaks out.
Oh, that good start from the U.S. with 6 shots in the first 3 minutes. Sure seems like a long time ago. Shirokov feathers this through. It hits Plotnikov, and now the scramble with Warsawski right in front of Kincaid. Look at Kincaid down, paddle flat, focused on the puck. Not the nonsense going on around him between Warsawski and Plotnikov. He's got to find the puck, and he's able to jump on it.
A medal of some sort will carry importance for the Russians, who won gold 2 years ago at the World Championship, but have really struggled at the Olympic level. No medals in the last 3 Olympic Games, including 6th in Sochi,
which was a real embarrassment for them. They had such high hopes for that team, and of course playing at home and to not even get themselves into a medal game was quite embarrassing for them.
Jordan Schrader sent flying there by Orlov, and Schrader is down.
That looks like a knee injury for him.
Schrader trying to get back to his feet. Play is called. So Orlov,
Right when,
Schrader at the line. And
sorry, Gord. Right when he opens up here, you see where Orlov catches him with the hip. Right when Schrader's trying to dodge through here, you see the right knee buckle back behind him. Oh, boy. Hope more of the contact was above the knee. It looks like it's a lot of hip to hip, but the previous angle, we saw his bottom of his right leg fling backwards. Hopefully Jordan Schrader is just stunned. That's why it's a dangerous hit. That's a good hit. He's upright. He doesn't get himself way down low for a clip. I just hate to see that. Somebody that's had all kinds of knee problems. I just hate to see that.
Ibrahimov brings it ahead now for the Russians. A long shot. Kincaid gloves that and hangs on. Ibrahimov got spun around there by McCabe.
Get a look at this power play again. It starts with Orlov falling down. It's almost a breakaway for Comfort. Datsuk is going to control the puck. And the pass to Mosiakin, he's got enough time to tee it up, and that's a perfect delivery up over Keith Kincaid's right shoulder. Funny how the game changes, isn't it? Orlov falls down, Comfort's about a foot from a breakaway, and 3 seconds later it's in the net and you're down 2-0.
Shots are 9-8 U.S. here in the opening period with 4 to go.
6-1 they were out of the gate for the U.S. when they really put some pressure on. A couple good scoring chances in front of Bobrovsky.
Yemelin banks it high off the glass, held by Weidman. Finds Hendricks, the loose puck bounces back in the slot. Wood couldn't get a shot away. And Weidman throws it back in the corner for Tyler Mott. Mott shoved off the puck there by Yemelin. And ahead it goes to Telegan. Takes the return pass from Datsuk. Centering pass for Datsuk, knocked away by Weidman. Mosiakin back with it. Picks it free. Telegan all teed up for the one-timer. Mosiakin looks right by him. Orlov sets it back up. Now Mosiakin tees it up and shoots. That was blocked by Mott.
Gord, one other factor we haven't talked about here is the U.S. played late last night.
Right.
And here's the early start. Not even 24 hours of rest for the U.S.
The Russians, as the host nation, had the right to set the medal round schedule, so they gave themselves the early start on Saturday to give themselves longer lead time in case they got to the gold medal game. Didn't pan out that way.
And as it turns out, they've got more rest time for this game.
Orlov winds his way in. He watched there by Warsawski. Orlov feeds it back to Shipachyov for Belov. Anton Belov, a long shot. He floated that wide. Panarin winds his way and throws it down to Shipachyov. Back to Belov. That pass was tipped there by Nelson. Panarin has it back. Artemi Panarin runs headlong into Frank Matrano. Behind the goal, Dodonov centers it. Shipachyov kicks it back at the point. The line held there by Orlov. Winds and shoots at it. Kincaid, the mask, knocked his mask right off. That was a hard shot by Orlov, and it nailed Kincaid.
See Kincaid go right to his eye. Watch this play by Shipachyov. It's a cheeky back heel with his right foot to Orlov, and Orlov gets all of this. Kincaid is in position, and it ends up hitting him right in the mask. Snaps the mask off, and immediately Keith Kincaid goes to his mask and is rubbing his eye right away. Able to stay in the game.
The IHF rule used to be that any time the puck struck the goaltender in the mask, the play was called. Now the referee has more discretion. In that case, with the mask coming off, it was clear that Kincaid needed some help. Chudinov, a big hit there, and that's going to be a penalty against Chudinov as Murphy comes over to talk to him. And Chudinov hammered JT Compher right in front of the American bench.
The puck was rimmed around the boards, and Chudinov doesn't play the puck. He runs his shoulder right into JT We'll see if this is just 2 minutes or not, or if it's more than 2. Remember, hits to the head in international hockey can be 2 minutes and 10.
Right.
Connor Murphy took one of those penalties yesterday. Ovechkin and Matt Hendricks are talking just outside the penalty box, and the officials are conferring. You see the Americans jump up off their sitting position. It's a 4-man huddle for the officials. And
referees are Martin Frano of the Czech Republic, Tobias Bjork of Sweden. The linesmen can have input into these penalty calls as well.
Not really sure why Chudinov wouldn't play the puck there or play stick down on puck. He just left the puck and ran right through Comfort. My sense is the longer they talk about this, it's going to be more than 2 minutes.
Ovechkin just made the signal of 2 over the Russian bench. Question is it head contact? Is that what they're calling? Has to be, isn't it?
I think it is. It is on that video. We'll see what they've called.
The call is interference. Now Weidman with a shot that goes off the leg of Plotnikov, over the glass and out. So there'll be no misconduct there, just 2 for interference to Chudinov.
Now Plotnikov and Weidman are tied up here a little bit and having a conversation from 30 feet away. Weidman's got a pretty good edge to him. 19 goals last year in the American Hockey League. This year, 6 in his first year in Ottawa. Signed a 2-year contract extension towards the latter part of the year.
Scramble draw, controlled by the U.S. as Larkin kicks it free for Matthews. Back to Foligno. Nick Foligno to Austin Matthews. Try to flip that back across. It bounces right back to Matthews. Down low, Larkin the centering pass. Just missed Mott. He was taken down by Plotnikov. Goes to the corner, Mott. Crisscrossing there with Larkin. Dylan Larkin. Feeds it back to Foligno. To Larkin. To Foligno. The Americans get set up. Foligno drops it back. Weidman, a hard shot that hit Zaitsev and went wide. Here's Matthews back on it. Austin Matthews takes the return pass from Mott. Down he goes to Larkin to Matthews. Swings it back, but Weidman moved in, and the pass missed him. In comes Mott with it. Feeds it back to Weidman, to Matthews. Austin Matthews walks in, lost the puck at the line. Weidman can't hold it. Greenwald all over him. And now Mott plays it back. Weidman's got a broken stick, so he's going to kick it across. And Foligno alertly swings back to pick up the loose puck. 40 seconds to go in this Team USA power play. 1 minute left here in the opening period. Warsofsky moves ahead for the U.S., drops it back for Connor. And away comes Kyle Connor. Jumping in, gets around Kuznetsov. Hooks it down to Nelson. His pass goes off a skate, bounces right to Shippachov. And Shippachov moves in with Kuznetsov. Shippachov, a quick shot, Kincaid the save. He'll hang on to that with 34 seconds to go in the period.
Shippachov had 60 points, behind Mozyakin 67 this year in the KHL. Shippachov plays in St. Petersburg, and 5 goals in this tournament. Is shorthanded. He gets out 2 on what started as a 2-on-1 with Kuznetsov, but really good work by Brock Nelson to eliminate the 2-on-1 and keep Kincaid with a difficult stop.
So far, the Russians have the only shot on this American power play. Overall, the shots are even at 9. A 2-0 Russia lead. Pelagin feeds it back. Yemelin for Orlov. Alexei Yemelin takes the return pass from Orlov. Pumps it back down the ice in the final seconds of the Chudinov penalty. He steps out. Nelson brings it across the line, trying to find Vetrano. Fed out by Datsuk. So many similarities to last year, Ray. You mentioned the U.S. playing the host team in the bronze medal game. Of course, the Czechs last year had the beloved Jaromir Jagr. Here in Russia, it's the beloved Pavel Datsuk, and the Russians have a 2-0 lead after the opening 20 minutes of the bronze medal game at the 2016 World Hockey Championship. The Red Square in the downtown area. The home of Dynamo Moscow is the main rink for the 2016 World Hockey Championship. We were in St. Petersburg for the first couple of weeks. The tournament was down here for the remainder of the medal round, and the Russians have a 2-0 lead on the U.S. after one period. And the teams will start the second period 5-on-5. We talked about it briefly, Ray, yesterday and a little bit today about the fact that the Russians brought over Kuznetsov, Orlov, and Ovechkin after Washington got knocked out. Some countries have resisted doing that, airlifting players in the middle of the tournament. Find it disruptive, particularly North American teams, because you've asked players to come a long way overseas, and then benching guys or...
But as a player that was never added late, but was on the team at the start of the tournament, as I was 3 times, you want help. The players want help. You expect it.
Right.
That, hey, look, so-and-so lost out of the playoffs, are we getting him? Or you can look around and say, hey, we need a winger, or we need a defenseman, and if there's a potential aid there, I can see why management doesn't want to do it, but the players almost expect it.
The draw, shot there by Frank Vetrano off the side of the net, and Sergei Bobrovsky has that. Imagine the alternative scenario where Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and Orlov say no.
Well, then you're stuck. I mean, you've already left 3 spots open, so you have to cover yourself with domestic players. Good news for the U.S. I see Jordan Schrader back on the ice, and good for him. That didn't look great.
Happened in your last game.
There goes summer. Now you try and rehab to get yourself ready for next season.
Schrader looks that high and wide. Of course, Schrader spent the bulk of the season in the American Hockey League for Minnesota's farm club. As Telegan comes busting in, Telegan moves it towards the goal and goes barreling into Kincaid after he shot it wide. And Kincaid is down again after Ivan Telegan went barreling into him.
I mean, this is right in the direct eye line for us. This was an easy look. You can see that Telegan's going to try and drive this to the net, and he's not going to get there. And at no point does he get his skates turned to make it look like he's going to stop.
Maybe he was pushed, but
there's nobody pushing him. He just didn't try to stop, and he goes right over top of Kincaid. And the U.S. with a 3rd power play. Man, Kincaid's had a tough afternoon here. He got hit in the head with a shot in the first period that knocked his mask off. It's run over here by Telegan, and now just hopes his power play gets on track.
Matthews, along with Larkin and Schrader up front, Foligno and Weidman on the back end. Chris Weidman has scored twice on the power play from the blue line for Team USA. The draw goes back to the corner. Larkin picks it up, plays it around. Foligno can't quite reach it. It's back down to the U.S. zone. Back goes Weidman as Plotnikov bears in on him. Austin Matthews with a rolling puck brings it ahead. Next stop for him, the National Hockey League draft. He won't need to book a second hotel room night.
He'll be out of there Saturday morning for the next event. But it's a busy summer for those players that get drafted. You have the combine right now, then the draft, then development camp, all before you finally get home and get to relax a little bit, get in the gym, and get ready for training camp.
Larkin picks it up, swings it back to Matthews, back to Weidman, waits and shoots. He pounded that wide. There's Foligno back on it. Foligno had it bounce off his stick. And Shipachyov can't play it out. Swatted back in by Foligno. 50 seconds to go in the American power play. And now Larkin's going to be penalized for a slash. As he knocked the Emelin stick out of his hand, and the American power play is over.
Dylan Larkin's a pretty feisty competitor. When the horn sounded at the end of the game against Canada, he smashed his stick against the glass in frustration. Here he battles hard for the puck with Emelin, and that penalty gets called all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure I like it. Mainly because I've had more than a few players tell me that when they get slashed, they just drop their stick. And so it now looks like the stick has been slashed out of your hand.
Yeah. I mean, that was a standard play for generations in hockey.
Yeah, and you would be told, hang on to your stick. But you can tell if it's gonna, or you can see why if it's gonna get called, you try that, especially the way Emelin was going there. The puck was in the corner, there's no danger.
Shea a long shot, Bobrovsky's got that, shovels it across.
He would just pick up his stick if he had to get back in the play.
Petrano plays it back. Brock Nelson a shot off the outside of the goal, and Bobrovsky swats the loose puck away.
Really good save for Bobrovsky.
What a miserable start to the season for him. He allowed 28 goals in his first 6 starts for Columbus. Didn't win any of them. And basically Columbus' season was over by the end of October. Kuznetsov. Final seconds now. The leg and Kuznetsov works back in. Kincaid is down. Kuznetsov throws it back in front. Missed Ovechkin. Wozniacki shoots. He fired it wide. Telegan comes back on, and he rushes on the power play for over a minute here as Voinov holds the line. Voinov for Telegan. Kuznetsov back to Voinov. Kuznetsov. With Ovechkin in the high slot. It's Wozniacki in the Ovechkin position at the top of the left faceoff circle. Voinov.
Because this is Datsuk's power play, where Datsuk would be on the half wall where Kuznetsov is.
Now Wozniacki back with it. Wozniacki backdoor pass. Oh, and a save by Kincaid. Point blank on Telegan. Wow. And the puck cleared out by Team USA as Mott brings it in. Tyler Mott in, shoots, save Bobrovsky, rebound. And the shot by Shea, the block on the way in by Kuznetsov.
A really good shorthanded chance for Tyler Mott. He's been a really impressive penalty killer in this tournament. He scored yesterday and almost got a shorty here.
In comes Telegan, drops it back for Shipachev. Back down to Telegan. He was knocked down by McCabe. Now moved up by Hendricks for Comfort. And Larkin steps back on the ice. JT Comfort works in as Larkin comes in. And Comfort swings it deep for Matt Hendricks, the American captain. Hendricks works it back for McCabe. That was chumped out of midair by Dodonov. And Shipachev has it back. Rink wide he goes for Dodonov. Dodonov drops it back. Wozniacki couldn't pull the trigger. Chance now for Pat Maroon busting in. Maroon spins back in the corner. Centers it. That's knocked away from Murphy, who jumped up. Now Maroon digging down low. And the puck comes free to Emelin. Move ahead to Dodonov. Loose in the corner, Dodonov for Panarin. And Artemi Panarin plays it back, long shot by Marchenko, and play called at the American line. 5 gone here in the opening period. Some good chances both ways.
Now there's Brock Nelson shot off the Petrano pass. Ovechkin's gonna have this chance knocked away, and Wozniacki just misses the top corner. And then on the power play, Ovechkin goes to the left. That leaves Telegan to the right. His shot hits the side of the net and bounces harmlessly to the side of Keith Kincaid.
Chudinov looks ahead for Shirokov, and now Belov plays it ahead for Plotnikov. Anton Belov back to Chudinov with a shot, tipped right in front, and Larkin picks it free and finds Connor. Kyle Connor swings in, drops that rink wide. Larkin in, shoots. That was blocked in front by a sliding Anton Belov. And now a race for it. Shirokov gets there as Kyle Connor has to defend for Team USA. Swung around and Larkin banks it off the boards, but not out. Voinov a hard shot, kicked out there by Kincaid. Shirokov drops it back. And batting at it is Shane. Shots are 4-1 U.S. here to open the second period. It remains a 2-0 Russian lead. Kuznetsov in across the line, walks in, waits, drops it back. Ovechkin in, couldn't pull the trigger. And Schrader has it back along with Foligno. Jordan Schrader winds his way in, drops it down to Foligno. And Voinov batting at it. Kuznetsov up along the boards. That's picked off by Matthews. Austin Matthews drops it back. Schrader along the wrist shot. That was knocked down by Voinov. Newmont couldn't move it out. Kuznetsov has it back and plays it ahead for Ovechkin. Kicked away from him by McCabe. Jake McCabe, another young defenseman for Team USA, a 22-year-old. Plays it ahead for Schrader. Drops it off to Matthews. In the centering pass was knocked down by Datsuk, and back comes Russia the other way. Telega, then it bounced off his stick, and Weidman swings back with it. Chris Weidman snaps the pass for Matthews. And Matthews pivots wide. Looks there for Wood. Zaitsev gets on it, hacks at that, and the puck goes into the U.S. bench. 13:03 to go in the second period. Russia with a 2-0 lead. Crowd here in Moscow.
By about this time in the game yesterday, the air was starting to seep out that left door over there. As the Finns scored once on the power play, Aho, then another goal by Jokinen, and then another goal by Aho, and just almost a dejected group sitting here. They couldn't even muster up any energy. The players didn't have the answers. Today they lead 2-0 here. 13 minutes left in the second period.
The one thing we don't see as much from Russian teams that we used to see was the blazing speed.
Right, very agile skaters, very good balance, but there's not many of them that really go.
Where are the Bures and the Fedorovs and the McGillneys who are such breakaway threats? Now, the other thing is, the rest of the world has caught up to training methods, and
of course, we all got a lesson in how these guys train and what they look like when they came over to North America on a regular basis. And we were still doing all kinds of upper body exercises, which was great. If somebody fell on top of you, you could push them off. However, it didn't help you go very fast, and training methods switched, and they became much more Olympic-style lifting, which is what the Russians had been doing forever.
Who was your Russian teammate in New York? You were talking about his
leg. Sergei Nemchinov. Unbelievable. I thought he got kicked by a horse on the side of his leg. His thigh muscles were ridiculous. What a nickname, the Sarge, and he'd say about 6 words a month, but oh, what a fantastic guy he was. He went on to manage some of the Russian national programs for a while.
Coach of the Russian national junior team. There's a crease violation called against Team USA. It wouldn't be a U.S. game here at the World Championship unless one of them got called for a crease violation. This time it's Brock Nelson.
You got to give him credit. At least he didn't argue this one. I think some of the most enjoyable arguments I see has been when Nick Foligno or Patrick Maroon were arguing with the officials that they weren't in the blue crease. The official's a 1.5 feet away, and it is blue. It really is. You might not like the rule, but there's not much argument to it.
Connor centers in a backhand shot by Vetrano, knocked away by Bobrovsky, and played back out. No icing call against the Russians.
Frank Vetrano's had a real good tournament. The last player added to this roster before the preliminary round. He's going to get to the backhand, and Bobrovsky heads this down into his feet. A goal and 5 assists for Vetrano. He had a helper in the shootout win against the Czechs in the quarterfinals.
Orlov plays it around for Zaitsev. And Plotnikov couldn't knock it down. Connor Murphy for Dylan Larkin. Playing the second World Championship at the age of 19. Played last year coming out of the college at Michigan. Plotnikov works in, but it plays offside at the American line.
This is the part of the game that flattens out a lot of times. See if the Americans can generate a little energy here. It looks like Kyle Connor's going to play rather sparingly today for the United States. Just had a couple of shifts, doesn't look super comfortable on the ice. And so be it a guy like Dylan Larkin, who created a beautiful play to Tyler Mott's goal, or Austin Matthews, somebody's going to have to spark something here for the U.S.
Here's Mott working his way in, centers it for Larkin. That pass just missed. Lyubimov ahead for Ovechkin. On the table, Ovechkin walks in. Kuznetsov had that skip away on the pass from Ovechkin. And now Ovechkin back on it in the corner. Spins away from Larkin. And again, Ovechkin works behind the goal, plays it across to Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov, rink wide pass, walking in. Voinov couldn't get a shot away. Voinov a skirt earlier, finds Ovechkin. Ovechkin. Rink wide again to Voinov. The centering pass was off the stick of Mott, up and out of play.
Ovechkin puts a little bit of air on this, too much of it in fact, as it goes over top of where Kuznetsov is waiting for the one-timer. Nice pass by Lyubimov to break them out. And that's about a half a foot too high for Kuznetsov. 1 goal in the 5 games for Ovechkin.
He's 1 goal away from the Russian career lead held by Ilya Kovalchuk. Now that's in the modern era of the World Championship since 1977.
Kovalchuk, who had a dispute with his team in St. Petersburg and was not included on this roster.
Mozyakin, rink wide pass for Datsuk, centering pass, Telegin scores! Pavel Datsuk with room service for Ivan Telegin.
Brady Shea drops his stick behind the net. Now the Americans are hamstrung. One of their defensemen is basically harmless. Shea can't get out and deny the initial cross-seam pass. What a beautiful free feed from Mozyakin. And then Datsuk, whose stick blade's as long as a canoe paddle, knocks it down and slides it right across to Telegin. And you could be a really good player if you get passes like that. 1.5 feet away, and he tips it into the empty net. Halfway through, it's 3-0 Russia.
The 37-year-old Pavel Datsuk has not yet formally announced that he's finished playing in the National Hockey League. All signs certainly pointed that way, certainly the handshake line against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now a late pass for Panarin. The centering pass goes astray as Vetrano picks it up. So midway through the second period, the Russians with a 3-0 lead. Matthews has it knocked away as the play goes offside at the Russian line.
Ivan Telegin had a really good game yesterday. He was injured in the last minute, or last couple minutes. It's an interesting night. Here in the bronze medal game, you saw him run over Keith Kincaid, miss a couple of chances, and then he gets to the front of the net to tap home Datsuk's beautiful pass. Scored 6 times in the tournament. Russia's led 2-0. They've won the previous 5. In the game yesterday, to get to the gold medal game, they got behind and couldn't find a way back.
Had the 1-0 lead, couldn't add to it.
Another power play just
as we've said a couple of times, just killed them yesterday.
Lost their opener, 3-0 to the Czech Republic here in Moscow. A stunning result for the host team. Now offside called at the Russian line. Then they rallied back, won 7 in a row, and really put the clamps down in their last 6 wins. They allowed a total of 4 goals, and then the loss to Finland.
1-0s they're devastating, aren't they?
Right.
Yeah, you know, they had 10 or 12 bad minutes, and the Finns get 2 power play goals. The special teams really were the difference in the first part of the game, and then the Finns' ability to defend and not get ruffled was just so impressive.
Yemlin feeds it back and takes the return pass from Kuznetsov. Yemlin, Ilivimov. Kuznetsov chips it in for Ovechkin. Alexander Ovechkin centers it, bouncing puck fired right on by Kuznetsov, turned away by Kincaid. Yemlin, the Montreal Canadiens, to Kuznetsov. Drafting Kuznetsov in the first round was the easy part for Washington. Getting him to North America was the hard part. Trying to get his contract situation sorted out. He wanted to come. Russian club team was hesitant to give him up, but finally Kuznetsov came over, and now in his 3rd year with the Capitals.
A big jump in point production and responsibility this year for Kuznetsov. He had 77 points, 57 assists as Ovechkin threw another 50 goals on the board, 7 times in 10 years for Ovechkin. But Nick Backstrom and Evgeny Kuznetsov, pretty darn good offensive 1 and 2 punch for the Capitals.
Hudson Fasching moves around to Legan. Fasching now works in the corner on Zaitsev, trying to center. That was chipped away by Zaitsev. And behind the goal is Zaitsev. Moscow native plays on ahead, finds Wozniakin, and it's taken away by Fasching. Hudson Fasching swings it back, and waiting for it is Hannafin. Hannafin, a long lead pass for Mott. Knocked down by Fasching, shoots, and Bobrovsky makes the stop. 7:59 to go in the second period. You're watching the 2016 World Hockey Championship. Second period here, the bronze medal game on the final day of the 2016 World Championship. Next year, Paris and Cologne will co-host the World Championship. The joke among Hockey Canada people is normally they send out invitations to the tournament. Next year they'll accept applications of candidates on the Paris side.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of folks wanting to go to that tournament.
Beautiful new building in Paris, and Cologne's got an NHL-style 18,000 seat arena where the Cologne Sharks play in the German Elite League. By Chudinov, and now Bobrovsky has to race out to play it. Anton Belov slaps it ahead. Finds Panarin. Rink wide he goes. It's knocked in by Chudinov. Picked up by Larkin. Finds Foligno. Schrader streaking ahead. Takes that pass. One-on-one with Yemlin. Shoots, and Bobrovsky gets an arm on that. Brought in by Orko. Now a chance for Panarin. Wade sends it rink wide. Score! Just like that. Panarin feeds it across. 4-0 Russia.
The U.S. has a malfunction at the junction on their bench. They're trying to make a change. Nobody wants to touch the puck because they're worried about the too many men on the ice penalty. Schrader's shot is deflected wide by Bobrovsky. Look at the U.S. guys. There's 5 of them there. Nobody wants to touch the puck, and that opens up this play. Panarin's got time. Well, good luck with that. Chris Weidman stuck. He's trying to deny the pass. Panarin makes him stop, and there's no chance for Keith Kincaid as Dadonov has his 6th of the tournament.
Dadonov spent parts of 3 years with the Florida Panthers after being a 3rd-round pick by Florida in 2007. He's been a scoring star in the KHL since returning, plays for St. Petersburg in the Russian top league. And now Shirokov has it back. That long shot, gloved by Kincaid, and he'll hang on as Plotnikov gets into it with Connor Murphy, two Arizona teammates.
Shipachyov chips this puck across to Panarin. Now it looks like he's going to shoot it. He stops. Now Weidman stuck. Almost any decision you can make there is the wrong one. Panarin's pass is right on the tape as Weidman destroys his stick over the crossbar. And a fantastic effort yesterday for the United States against Canada. For a team that really struggled to find its footing in the preliminary round, played a super game against the top-seeded Czech Republic to get to the Final Four. And just not enough here today against the Russians, who have stretched this out.
And think about how the round robin ended for Team USA. They lost 3-2 to Germany in a late goal by Corbinian Holzer, who hadn't scored a pro hockey goal in the last 2 years. Then they need at least a point to get to the quarterfinals. They get the point in an overtime loss to Slovakia. So they didn't exactly go steaming into the quarterfinal round, but then, as you mentioned, a terrific effort against the Czechs. Kincaid was brilliant in that game. And we got a penalty coming in the corner. It'll be a slashing call. It'll go against Marchenko. And so the U.S. will get a power play here with 6 to go in the second period.
U.S.'s 4th power play. It'd be nice to get one, get on the board here. Maybe you can make something happen. There's the slash from Marchenko over top of JT Compher's stick.
Broke his own stick. Tobias Bjork of Sweden makes the call. An honor for these officials to be chosen to work the last day of the World Championship. Of course, with the Olympics in South Korea 2 years away, some of these officials will appear there as well.
Just won't know which players they're going to have yet.
No. January is the deadline. IHF President Reddy Fidel talking to reporters this week said he is not optimistic. It looks gloomier than it ever has. The IOC is saying it will no longer pay travel and insurance costs for NHL players to attend the games.
Which is not insignificant. That's a lot of dough.
About $10 million is the estimate. Vetrano, a shot kicked away by Bobrovsky. Nelson plays it back to Warsofsky. To Vetrano, in, shoots, scores! Frank Vetrano fires it home, a power play goal. And the U.S. is on the board, down 4-1.
Frankie Vetrano can flat out shoot the puck. It doesn't matter what level he's at. He can score goals. It's the second you see of this tournament. 36 goals in 36 games in the American Hockey League, 8 goals rather in 39 games in Boston. He takes the feed. Look how quick this puck goes off his stick. Beats Bobrovsky. Patrick Maroon stays on top of the crease for the screen. Bobrovsky can't pick it up, and it's 4-1.
You mentioned Vetrano spent just half the year in the American Hockey League, but the 36 goals in 36 games you talked about were enough to get him on the AHL first All-Star team. Now Rick wide pass, just missed Dadonov. And Henrik picks up the loose puck. Picked up by Shane. Yemlin trying to play it back. It bounces back to Voinov.
See if that gives the U.S. any juice here. Can they get another one before the end of the period? Change the complexion of the game.
Played down to Shipachov. Loose in the corner. At the point. Held by Panarin. Artemi Panarin spins away from Brady Shea. Feeds it back at the point. Chudinov. Across the pillow with a hard shot. Hit the goalpost. Rebound. Score. Panarin taps it home. And the Russians have their 4-goal lead back.
Well, I guess that answers that, doesn't it? Panarin, who made a gorgeous feed to Dodonov for Dodonov's 6th goal of the tournament, scores one of his own. Panarin 6th of the tournament. Terrific eye-hand coordination here. The shot goes off the post. Panarin gets it off his foot, and he's got to get it before it gets to the goal line. He starts the play with a nice little spin and cycle, and then gets to the net in front of Brady Shea off his left foot, steps over top of it, and touches it into the net.
53 seconds after Vetrano had scored for the U.S. Panarin comes back and it's 5-1 Russia. 4.5 to go here in the second period. Last year, the Americans lost the semifinal to Russia 4-0. Panarin, who had that sensational rookie year with Chicago, figures once again in the Russian scoring. Mosiakin works in. Throws that to the corner. Mosiakin finds some room, throws it back in front. And that pass bounced away from Datsuk. Look out, that pass almost hit Oleg Zarnak on the Russian bench. He gives a thumbs up. He's okay.
What a year Artemi Panarin had in Chicago. Patrick Kane had his greatest offensive output with Panarin on his wing. Certainly Kane benefited Panarin as well. Those two fit so well together. There's a look at the 2 points in this period for Panarin. Just an electrifying player. There's a group of people or voters and such that think Panarin shouldn't be eligible for the Calder Trophy as the Rookie of the Year because he's 24 years old. Not his fault. The rules are the rules. And it, in my opinion, is pretty hard to imagine that you can overlook Panarin's 77 points, despite the fact that Connor McDavid was the Rookie of the Month 3 times, really the only 3 full months he was eligible.
Now Matthews in and shoots. Panarin's been a professional player, or was a professional player, for 7 years before he came to the NHL, but as you said, those are the rules. So Ovechkin works in, drops it off, a centering pass just missed Kuznetsov.
Well, remember when they changed the rule when Sergei Makarov won the Rookie of the Year? He was about 28 at the time.
Ovechkin in, shoots the pinballs around. Warsofsky plays it away.
So if it ruffles enough feathers, maybe they'll change the rules again. But as it stands, he's a rookie. He's never been in the league before.
Shane knocks it down for Team USA. Noah Hannafin and JT Comfort. And Bobrovsky rattles that high off the glass. A centering pass by Mott, knocked down by Sergei Bobrovsky.
Well, any energy that the United States might have collected on the Vetrano power play goal certainly went out the window less than a minute later with Panarin's score. And it's a pretty bleak look when you're sitting on the U.S. bench. You look up and you see 5-1. Just 17 shots for the Russians. I don't know if Keith Kincaid can do much about the 5 that have gone behind him.
Now, in behind the play, there was a knee-on-knee collision. And slow to get to his feet is Tyler Mott. It was Kalinin, I believe, that he collided with. And Kalinen's going off.
Oh, boy. The second player for the U.S. that has been injured in that form. Jordan Schrader fortunately able to come back. Mott's still sitting on the bench, which is really good news, but Kalinin goes to make the hit. And when you go to hit square up, if you miss initially with the shoulder, the knees are going to be the first thing that make contact. They did, and Mott bore the brunt of that. It looks like he's fine on the U.S. bench, however.
Two and a half to go. And the U.S. on the power play. Kyle Connor gets tied up there by Kuznetsov. Pick free by Vetrano. Kalega can't knock it out. Brock Nelson swings it across to Connor. Kyle Connor in, down to the goal line. Patrick Maroon spins and shoots. Knocked away by Bobrovsky. And they're going to call Maroon for a crease violation after he unloaded the shot.
Maroon's going to try and get across Bobrovsky. They call the violation there, and to be honest with you, I don't really know that that one was. Zaitsev gave him a little shove from behind, and man, did he have a tough time in the first two games, didn't he? He scored a power play goal 2 minutes into the tournament, and then he was all over the score sheet for the next two games with the goalie interference penalty of, I can't even remember, was there 4, 5 crease violations?
Yeah. Well, who had more trouble? Maroon or Team France counting to 5? The French were called for 2 men on the ice 3 times in 1 period.
Yeah, that was really something to watch as well. And they weren't nitpicky, too many men on the ice penalties.
Now Kincaid has to pounce on that with Shipachow standing there dangerously. No, they had 6 skaters on the ice for quite some time on all 3 occasions.
David Wasowski scored a big goal yesterday for the United States. It broke a 2-2 tie, gave the U.S. the lead.
You mentioned he's now a New Jersey Devil. He's picked up on waivers from Pittsburgh. He played in Wilkes-Barre, where U.S. coach John Hines, now the Devils coach, had been before. So Hines knew him.
You know, there's so many players, so many good players that are just a chance away from the NHL. You need almost an advocate for you, somebody that believes in you, and David Warsofsky had that in John Hines and got himself to New Jersey and finished the year there this year.
Rink wide pass, Larkin walks in, shoots, Bobrovsky save, rebound, Schrader bats at it, and it's banged down the ice by Yemelin.
2 great stops back-to-back for Bobrovsky off of Larkin and Schrader.
And Matthews has it back. Rink wide he goes for Schrader. Party atmosphere in this building now. Some of the Finns and Canadians have started arriving. Matthews rink wide for Foligno. Coming up on 6 o'clock local time here in Moscow. As Weidman has it. Down to Foligno. Final minute. Matthews winds and shoots. It goes off the leg of Kuznetsov and wide. Pounded down the ice by Plotnikov.
Gord, I was just looking over at the Russian bench, and Oleg Zarnok had gotten himself out on top of the boards. He was standing on top of the dasher part of the boards to get a good look at the penalty kill.
One day he will jump on the ice. He will just jump off the boards and onto the ice.
Stands on the bench, walks behind the players, and sometimes, as I mentioned, he gets out on the dasher boards. It's really quite a high wire act at times for him.
Connor Murphy with a stick lifted there by Panarin. Chipped ahead by Shea. Matthews can't knock it down as McCabe goes back. And Panarin closes on in. The Russian team was disappointed on Saturday, but now the bronze medal game a 5-1 lead after 40 minutes at the 2016 World Hockey Championship. Getting set for the start of the 3rd period of this bronze medal game, the United States has made a goaltending change. Mike Condon will come on in relief of Keith Kincaid. Kincaid allows 5 goals on 17 Russian shots through 40 minutes. And so Condon, who took over as the starter after Kincaid lost to Canada in the opener. Comes back in for Team USA. It was Condon who was the losing goaltender against the Germans of a late goal by Corbinian Holzer. And the Americans went back to Kincaid after that. Yemelin plays it across to Voinov. Vyacheslav Voinov. Long shoot into the American zone. Connor Murphy goes back. Icing called against Russia. Voinov, we mentioned, played in the KHL last year for St. Petersburg. 13 of the 22 Russian skaters on the roster are KHL players. There's controversy about that before the Sochi Olympics and how much politics entered in the selection process, but it looked as though some KHL players were chosen over National Hockey League players. There's Brady Shea with a shot that goes off a stick and wide. Sergei Gonchar was one Russian NHLer who was not added to that team. Hanifin throws that ahead, and the pass missed Matthews as Bobrovsky's out to play it. Telegan bumping there with Hanifin. Does it to the line, but not out. Kept the line by Datsuk. And Jordan Schrader brings it back the other way for Team USA. Gives Orlov a couple of bumps with the stick. And Marchenko has it back. Marchenko is much more aggressive offensively here than he is with the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, like a lot of young players, your first taste into the NHL, and you want to make sure the mistake is not on your stick. And so what you have...
Steal by Larkin, stopped by Bobrovsky. Trying to stuff that home, has it back. Larkin waits, spins and shoots, it's blocked. As Datsuk got in the way and his maybe former Detroit teammate. Larkin was so excited to play on the line with Datsuk at times this year. Larkin grew up in Waterford, Michigan, a suburb of Detroit. Now to Donov, picks it off in front of Shippachov, chips it on goal, Condon makes a stop, cleared by Larkin. 2-on-0 essentially for the Russians. The Donov feeds it across for Belov, and the puck comes out. And Larkin grew up in the Detroit suburbs, plays minor hockey there, goes to Michigan. Signs with the Red Wings.
Yeah, for mom and dad, a road trip was all the way up to Ann Arbor. Pretty remarkable to be in that close a radius.
Plotnikov brings it in now, a long shot. Condon makes a save and hangs on.
See if there's any chippiness here in the third period as the Russians have a 5-1 lead. Dylan Larkin steals the puck off a Datsuk's stick. 2 stops by Bobrovsky. And then after Jake McCabe overskates the puck, Donov throws this to Shippachov, but the puck is bouncing when it gets to him. Mike Condon has made a couple of stops already.
At the line, held by Yemelin. Plotnikov for Kalina with a quick shot. And that's knocked down by Condon. Larkin did have to make a long trip to play last year to Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's a good 3.5 hours to Detroit. I mean, that's played 6 games here in the playoffs. All the way to Grand Rapids. Didn't have to leave the state, though.
You got to think that there's a long future for Dylan Larkin in Detroit as they move into the new building. Perhaps part of being the centerpiece of the next wave of Red Wings.
And of course, late in the season, the song was about Pavel Datsuk, the interview with longtime Detroit journalist Mitch Albom, in which Datsuk said he was essentially done with the NHL. He tried to walk it back a little bit. Does appear he's pretty serious. So the Red Wings would have to try to unload that contract, which they'd be able to do. Move that to a team that needs to get to the salary floor, but
it's important, you know, and people will say, well, what's the benefit for a team taking that contract? Well, they'll get a prospect from Detroit as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of the, hey, thank you for taking the deal. But when Datsuk doesn't report, he won't be on their salary cap.
In comes Kuznetsov, shoots.
Or he'll be on the cap, but they don't have to pay him the money, which is really the whole point of the deal.
Condon makes a save in. Tyler Ovechkin That's the best of both worlds. Get the cap credit and don't pay the money. In the upside down world, it could be the NHL salary cap.
Remember when the term capologist first came into play and everybody's like, oh yeah, they got some math guy. And he's almost the most important guy in your front office now. How much sand can you get into a jar that's got a firm lid?
In comes Warsawski, swings it across. What a pass, shoot, score. Frank Vatrano pumps it home on a sweet, sweet feed from Warsawski. And the lead is back down to 3.
Beautiful feed from Warsawski as he steals the puck in the middle of the ice, and Bobrovsky comes out to square up to him. Oh, it's actually a direct pass. My mistake, and Warsawski takes the return feed from Vatrano. And 3 Russian defenders go right to the middle of the ice. Nobody cleans up the back door, and Frank Vatrano's got his 3rd of the tournament, his 2nd today.
Springfield, Massachusetts native, signed as a college free agent out of UMass by his home area team, the Boston Bruins. Become a bit of a cult favorite this year in Boston. Local kid who can really shoot it. Yamlin plays it around, knocked down by Brock Nelson. Nelson brings it around as Shea steps up. 4 gone here in the 3rd period. The U.S. down by 3. Hudson Fasching seals the wall, bumps into Yemlin. And Yemlin picks it free and moves the puck back to center ice.
As impossible as it seems, if you're the U.S., you just have to look at this. If you can get 1 in the next 5.5 minutes, now you're down 2 with 10 minutes to go. At least you've given yourselves a chance, and who knows what's going to happen.
Shea, a lead pass. And that missed, an icing call against Team USA. The Americans actually got it closer in the 2nd period, but the Russians struck right back.
And there's Vatrano's power play goal. You see how quickly he releases that shot. He's been a shooter since forever. And this one is on and off his stick immediately. No chance for Bobrovsky as David Warsawski's got a couple assists. Made a terrific pass there to Vatrano.
McCabe, a lead pass for Schrader. Knocked down by Orlov. Those two collided earlier in this game in the 1st period. Schrader came limping off, but has returned. And Marchenko has it back for the Russians. Throws that pass ahead, chipped in by Mosiakin and played away by Condon. Mike Condon, the Montreal Canadiens, had to carry the load after Carey Price got hurt. Condon made 51 starts for Montreal.
He was telling us before the tournament that in the 2013 playoffs in the American League, he was thinking of quitting. He had to go home and write his senior thesis, but 2 injuries to Minnesota's farm team opened up a spot in the American League. And here he is 2 years later, starts 50 games for Montreal.
Connor goes rink wide. That quick wrist shot taken by Schroeder is stopped by Bobrovsky.
Whereas Jordan Schroeder has had a couple decent scoring chances today, turned aside by Bobrovsky. One of them was just prior to the Dodonov goal that made it 4-0. Everybody having a little fun here with the Russians up 5-2 with 14.5 left.
Blaring music, cheerleaders, in a very raucous atmosphere here. But again, the Russians will not come away with a gold medal on home ice. There's an icing call against the Russians with 5:42 gone here in the 3rd. Yemlin, who was a 3rd-round pick in Montreal back in 2004. He came over 7 years after they picked him in the draft.
Now just completed his 5th year in Montreal. And
Mott with a shot that was blocked by Voinov. And Mott plays it down to Larkin. Dylan Larkin peels back in the corner. Larkin back with it, tried the sharp angle shot that was blocked by Kuznetsov. Foligno knocked down by Yemlin. And then Foligno gives Yemlin a little elbow in the face, a little rabbit punch in the back of the head, and away they go. Lyubimov taken down by Larkin. Ovechkin brings it in. Ovechkin drops it off to Lyubimov. Back in front for Ovechkin. The pass just missed. Noah Hannafin got bumped hard there by Lyubimov. And Lyubimov back with it. Lost the puck to Hannafin. Peek ahead to Foligno. Get off the glass and back out to center ice. Orlov. Big collision there with Foligno. They jousted center ice. And Brady Shea has it back for Connor Murphy, the son of longtime NHLer Gord Murphy. Brought in by Fasching. So many of these American players have ties like that. That long shot, partly gloved by Bobrovsky. Then an in-tight save on Vetrano. And Mosiakin plays it back out.
Both American assistant captains, Nick Foligno and Connor Murphy. Their dads had long, productive NHL careers.
Picked up by Telegan. Streaking ahead is Pavel Datsyuk. He was tied up by Vetrano. And Mosiakin has it back. Mosiakin tries to center it. Knocked down by Shea. And Brady Shea brings it back the other way. Shea backhands it towards the goal. The pass is blocked by Chudinov. Datsyuk has it back. Anton Belov, the former Edmonton Oiler, has it. Chipichov looks ahead for Dadonov. Spins back, centers it. And that pass just in behind Panarin. Yemelin played that high off Maroon, brought it by Hendricks with a shot, and Bobrovsky makes the save on him. 11:56 to go here in period number 3. 5-2, the Russians lead. Hey, Anders and all the gang down in the production truck. It's Gord Miller from TSN. Thank you so much for the hard work here. Great work. And
thank you, everybody.
Pictures have been fantastic. Talk. I don't want to say thank you very much in Swedish. I can say talk, but I can't say thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you works.
Thank you is all I got.
Thanks, guys. Since the end of the first period, the United States has outshot Russia 19-12, with the Russians hold a 5-2 lead here in the third period of the bronze medal game. Steps in for the face-off against Hendricks. Artemi Panarin was the player the scouts were watching last year, and a massive bidding war broke out for his services. As it's played back by Shirokov. Who would be a Russian player you'd look at, Ray?
You know what? I'm interested in Shipichov, but I don't think he's played very well the last couple of games. Dadonov has been better for me, but I think the one that's going to get the most immediate interest for someone that's not signed is going to be Telegan.
Right. His rights are owned by the Winnipeg Jets. They could trade them if they chose to, or try to bring him back over. Lots of experience in North America for him. He played in the Ontario Hockey League for both Saginaw and Barrie. Played for Dale Howardchuk with the Barrie Colts. Henry's trying to dig it out. And Dadonov plays up for Shipichov. Shipichov is 29.
Which would be a strike against him. And the reason I say that it's not that 29's so old is that because he's not played in North America before, you're really taking a risk or a gamble as to what the North American game will be like for him.
If you get a chance back at home, check out the Players Tribune and the article by Evgeny Kuznetsov, a very thoughtful piece on the difference between Russian and North America hockey. It's not judgmental either way. It's not a criticism. Just talk about the difference.
Just the game is thought of differently. It's conceived differently. And if you've been doing this professionally, as Shipichov has for 10 years, it'd be really hard to play a completely different style, which is North American hockey.
Now Vetrano comes streaking in along with Austin Matthews. Vetrano in, shoots. Bobrovsky squeezes that and hangs on it. Vetrano was cartwheeling into the Russian net.
And then in a little frustration, pitches the net aside as Vetrano takes this nice little play by Brock Nelson off the boards. It's a 2-on-1 and well back-checked by Lyubimov to turn it into a 2-on-2, so Vetrano has to shoot the puck. And then he slides into the goal post and
right into the net. Camera. One of my favorite retorts about defensive hockey was Igor Larionov to Kevin Constantine, who was on the coach at San Jose. He was stressing the importance of dumping the puck in and adopting a defensive posture in practice. And bring on us, coach, the best defense is when I have the puck.
Yeah, the old give it away and go get it game never really suited.
Backhand shot by Mott off the block. Santini shot goes over the glass.
And then for a lot of the older generation of Russians, I mean, their whole game was pass the puck, hold on to the puck. If you don't have it, go back and regroup again. As I got to give the Slovak goalie credit, he's hanging in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure most people would rather watch the dancer in front of them than the guy in the mask. Just a thought. I remember the first time
Schrader comes walking in, a backhand shot kicked up by Bobrovsky.
Playing against the Russians in the World Championships, and they'd get up to your blue line, there would be nothing there, and all of a sudden they'd circle back and they'd be back in their own zone, and we felt like we were chasing them all over the place, and because they never dumped the puck in, they just didn't do it.
Shipichov brings it in now. Works it back, a backhand shot through the crease. Carmen kicked that away. Now Panarin plays it around for Chudinov. Left down low for Panarin. Spins away from Larkin. Shipichov. Poke check there by Hannafin. And Larkin gathers up the loose puck. Dylan Larkin wheels away, 3-on-2 for Team USA. Tyler Mott walks in, shoots. That was blocked by Chudinov. Centering pass was off the stick of Shea and back out. David Warsawski swings that rink line for JT Compher. He was poked right there by Plotnikov. And back comes Shirokov the other way. Shirokov works in, waits, shoots, and looking it wide. Voinov in behind the goal. Plotnikov leaves it there for Kalinin. In the corner, Shirokov. Spins away from Wyman, who stayed with him. And Kyle Connor has it back. Connor will be a pro next year for the Winnipeg Jets. Signed at the end of his season with the University of Michigan.
A really disappointing tournament, for Kyle Connor. He had such an excellent year at Michigan, injured in this tournament.
Kuznetsov in, shoots. And a stop made by Condon. Kuznetsov back on it. Walks off the half boards. Kuznetsov had it roll off his stick, and it's picked up by Fashik. Rink line pass to Kyle Connor. Works in. Connor being harassed there by Marchenko. And Lyubimov has it. Rink wide is Ovechkin. Lyubimov works in. Hannafin steps into him. Lyubimov stays on it. Pulls it back in front. Poke check there by Condon. Ovechkin has it now. Alexander Ovechkin. Throws it towards the goal, chopped wide there by Lyubimov. And Connor Murphy brings it back for Team USA. Swings it across to Matthews. Austin Matthews works in. Scored in regulation in both the quarterfinal win for the U.S. over the Czechs and the semifinal loss to Canada. Also had a shootout winner in that. The shootout winner against the Czechs, which counts as a goal in the IHF standings. Paveldatsyk picks it out, centers it, Wozniak, and in scores! Pavel Datsyuk sets it up again, and Mosiakin makes it 6-2 Russia.
Gord, if Pavel Datsyuk goes back to the KHL, and this is the last time I get to watch him live, I'm going to remember that. I've always loved the ability to get the puck when he doesn't have it. Watch Datsyuk, he doesn't have it, now all of a sudden he's got it. He's done that forever. And then when he gets the puck, his backhand pass is on the tape to Mosiakin. Jake McCabe's got it, he's got control, and now all of a sudden he doesn't. One of my favorite players for a decade to watch is Pavel Datsyuk. He's got 3 assists today, and he sets up Mosiakin, and it's 6-2.
That's 2 tap-ins that Datsyuk has set up in this game. He'd be embarrassed if he didn't score.
You can, as I said on the Telegan goal, you can be a pretty good player if you're playing with Pavel Datsyuk. Just get to where you need to be and get your stick on the ice.
He'll find you. Donov works in, swings it across, and a hard shot taken there by Panarin to stop by Condon.
2 goals and an assist for Mosiakin, 3 assists for Datsyuk, a goal and an assist for Panarin.
And now Vetrano with a long shot that rattles high off the glass. Wood feeds it back for Nelson. In, shoots, missed short side. Bobrovsky swats that away with a blocker. And behind the goal, Voidov picks it up. Yemelin. Rink wide, looks for Plotnikov. Plotnikov pulls it back in front. And it's knocked down the ice by Miles Wood. An icing call against the U.S. 5:44 remaining here in the 3rd period.
The Detroit Red Wings tell the story of the first year Datsyuk came into training camp. He was about 155 pounds. He had kind of a funky walk to him. He walked so bow-legged in his skates, they weren't sure what he was going to be, and then he got onto the ice, and it took Brett Hull no time to say, this is a terrific player. Just one of the game's great players. He's going to be a Hall of Famer for sure. Just under 1,000 games in his career, 953 games, 918 points.
4-time winner of the Lady Byng Award Trophy as the NHL's most gentlemanly player, a 3-time winner of the Selke Trophy as the top defensive forward. And fired down by the Russians, this time icing call against them.
And countless times, the video star in other teams' rooms. When coaches are trying to show players what they want to do, I can't tell you how many times we watched clips of Datsyuk, how he would chase the puck down, how he would never run himself out of position, but how he'd hunt it down, and then you'd watch him control the puck. Coaches were using him as a teaching tool, video after video.
Remember being in the 2002 Stanley Cup Final when Detroit played Carolina. The NHL always brings the top young draft prospects in to meet the media. We were standing in the corner of the rink in Carolina. Datsyuk made one of those plays. Those kids were in awe. Plotnikov in, shoots, Condon gets a piece. And the puck bounces high off the glass and out of play. 5:14 to go here in the 3rd period. The host Russians have a 4-goal lead in the bronze medal game. Kind of a bird's eye view of the Ice Palace in Moscow. The bird was doing a corkscrew. There's a remote camera over the ice here that goes flying around.
You gotta hand it to them. They got a lot of things going on in this ring at the same time.
We'll stay after the game for the presentations of the bronze medals to the winning team. strange irony of sports like this is Ovechkin walks in, waits, and gets poke checked there by Murphy. But the team that finishes third is happier at the end of the game than the team that finishes second. Under 5 to go here in the third. Chudinov puts it high in the air. It's chopped wide by Yubimov. Penalty call here. Tobias Bjork. Or do we? Initially pointed to someone, now it's not. Face off, move back down to the American zone. The argument was that the U.S. had put the puck out, and yes, it will be a delay of game penalty against Dylan Larkin.
Disappointing ending to the tournament for the Americans. But this is such an inexperienced team. So many college players on it. Gord, you mentioned many times they're one of the youngest, or the youngest team in the tournament. To get to here is a pretty good accomplishment.
Orlov to Mosiakin.
It's just a disappointment for, as I watch USA hockey, to know that there's so many people that aren't here that perhaps could be. You're not going to get everybody. Hey, guys in Canada say no too, but this is really an inexperienced group.
That's it. Feeds it back to Orlov. Winds and shoots. That was blocked by JT Compher. That's it. Rink wide he goes. Mosiakin shovels it back in front of bouncing puck. Moved down the ice by Compher. That was almost assist number 4 for Datsuk.
The teams vote the most valuable player in the game. And I wonder if it's Mosiakin's 2 goals or Datsuk's 3. The place will explode if it's Datsuk.
Panarin pass, Panarin drops it back. Shipachyov with a shot, he fired wide.
That wasn't so shabby either, was it? Panarin to Shipachyov.
Finds him again behind the goal. 45 seconds to go in the power play. Voinov with it. Down to Panarin. Or Shipachyov. Panarin tied up. Hendricks swats at that. Puck bounces down in the corner. Right around by Dodonov. Back to Ovechkin at the point. Alexander Ovechkin. Down to Shipachyov. Dodonov was standing right in front of the goal, elected not to shoot. Now Ovechkin winds and fires, and Condon makes the glove save.
Mosiakin's going to go across the back door to Taleg, and nicely broken up by Connor Murphy. Dodonov, Panarin, and Shipachyov have done this all tournament long. 5 goals each in the tournament for Shipachyov, Dodonov, and Panarin. When they came into today, Panarin and Dodonov have scored their 6th.
Alexander Ovechkin's season, another goal-scoring title for him in the NHL, but more disappointment in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Drop back for Dodonov. And here's Panarin. Teams are back to 5-on-5. Dodonov throws it back. And Voinov swings back to pick it up. Voinov snaps it in. Shirokov chips it down. Condon. These are there for Santini. Clean pokes it back. 2 to go now in the third period. Clean works in. Shoots it down the right side. By Condon, bouncing puck. The Plotnikov spins and shoots. That deflects back in the corner. And Nick Foligno has it back for Team USA. Down by Bella with a high stick. And Foligno back on it. Russian gold medalists in 2012 and 2014 in this tournament. Fans salute their team one more time. stick around and watch the Russians at least go home with a medal. Now we got 2 big men in the ice call against the United States. There are 6 skaters out there as time had not yet gone off. So with 1:07 to go, they'll be shorthanded.
There are the 6 white jerseys on the ice. And just helping out. Everybody's trying to help.
John Hines, a longtime coach with the U.S. National Team Development Program. Just finished his first year as the head coach of the New Jersey Devils, where his former boss in Pittsburgh, Ray Shero, brought him over. Still to come tonight, Canada against Finland for the gold medal. Orlov down to Datsuk. Datsuk centers it, and it was knocked away by JT Compher inside a minute to go now in the third period. Orlov swings it back across to Mosiakin. Mosiakin works in. Still up there with Datsuk. Mosiakin looks back to Datsuk. The master across to Orlov. Russia on the power play here to close it out. Kuznetsov drops it down. Datsuk couldn't pull the trigger on that pass from Telegan, and Compher sends it down the ice. Panarin works it back in. Centers it. Bouncing puck to Donat, feeds it across. Score! Shipachev on the power play with 7 seconds to go. 7-2 Russia.
Everybody on that line finishes the tournament with 6 goals. Dodonov, Panarin, and now Shipachev. Panarin skates the puck into the zone. Dodonov finds Shipachev at the side of the net, and his power play goal makes it 7-2.
That's 18 points for Shipachev, which will virtually guarantee him the point title at this World Championship. So it's not the medal they wanted, but the Russians will take bronze at home in the 2016 Worlds, a 7-2 win over Team USA. The Russians come back from a disappointing loss to Finland in the semifinals yesterday. The United States will be fourth. There are 2 positions left to be decided in the World Championship. First and second will come down to Canada and Finland.
Российской Федерации.